Occasionally people say to me that it's not worth buying an alarm system because a burglar will just bypass it. But is that possible? Keep watching to find out. So there are two basic ways that a burglar might be able to disable an alarm system or defeat an alarm system. The first would be to disarm it before they've got into the house proper, and the second would be to defeat the individual sensors on the system. So let's take the first thing first. So you're trying to get into a house by disarming the system. So the very old, really old, kind of 40 to 50-year-old systems used to have a key on them to arm and disarm them. Those, fairly straightforward to pick, unfortunately. So, those are fairly straightforward to bypass the system. Moving on, then you'd have those with a keypad on them. Now, unless you've kept the system on 4 ones or 4 zeros, something like that, or an obvious 4-digit pin like 1066, as long as you've got something that's not that or your birth year, then it's, to all intents and purposes, it's impossible, not impossible, but you know what I mean. It's very unlikely that someone's going to guess a random 4-digit pin. With more modern systems that have a wireless key fob, the older ones of those, you could sit there with a scanner, radio scanner, and pick up the code that the fob sends and program another transmitter to mimic that code, and you disarm the system. Funnily enough, manufacturers have thought of that, and more modern professional systems, the key fob is, the signal is encoded and uses channel hopping, so it's virtually impossible to send a disarm code if you haven't got an actual item that's actually programmed onto the system. With again, with modern systems, you have an app. Now, I'm no cybersecurity expert, but the manufacturers will say, of course, that the server is hack proof. And how many burglars are going to be experts in cybersecurity as well? I would have said probably not very many. So then we move on to how you might defeat individual sensors. So the first of the main two types of detection sensor on an alarm system would be a door sensor. Now these work with magnetism. So you have a magnet up against a switch. So first of all, yes, it would technically be possible to put some other magnetic source to keep the switch closed. First problem with that is that you've got to get it into the door before the door's opened. Second problem with that is that you've got to know whether you've got to attach it to the part on the doorpost or the part on the door itself before the door opens. And so you've actually got to get it there. So again, highly unlikely, I think, that it would be doable. And the other major type of sensor is the motion sensor. Now that works on movement of heat. So I guess technically you could cover yourself in some sort of heat reflective foil sheet. You would have to make sure that literally none of your skin was showing, otherwise there would be a heat source that the motion sensor would see, and that kind of makes life awkward getting around the house. So again, technically possible, but not really practical. So I would say, in my opinion, that it's not feasible in realistic terms to bypass an alarm system.